So for everything's great. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, this is my first time here. As you all know, or anyone that doesn't know, I am currently in Portugal. It's great to see anyone on. Thanks for letting me know, everybody. Welcome, everyone. This is my very first YouTube live ever. So I had no clue about the tech and if it was all going to be, oh, Victoria, you made it on. Yay, this is so good. I'm so pleased. So as you know, I'm currently in Portugal. I'm just going to keep a wee eye on my phone. That's fine, just to make sure anybody's needing in. So yes, it's a mixed bag of weather if anyone is interested. Oh, Una, you're here too. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thanks very much, guys, for joining. So I appreciate you've taken the time out, and it doesn't go unnoticed that you come on and support me. So I'm very grateful. I had this idea from a while ago, because a lot of people say to me, when they're in my company or when, we're out together, even going for coffee, they're like, God, just sitting with you is like an energetic shift. The conversation, the insight, the reflection that we have, when we're talking about things. And that's why I called it sofa chats because, well, number one, I'll be in different sofas in different countries every time I'm delivering this. But for now, for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be here in Portugal. And then by the time we get to February, it will be from London. So it's all go at the moment. And then I suspect it'll be Glasgow and then probably back in Italy after that. So I'll keep you all updated on locations as and when I come on live. I'm just trialing the 7 o'clock as well. I have no idea. Tuesdays at 7, I just plumped for a time in a day. And I thought sometimes you could tie yourself in knots with, is this the right thing? Is it the right day? Sometimes you just have to give it a go and then see what the feedback is. So I will be all ears following the session. So thanks very much. Now, as I said, sofa chats really just came from a complete place of heart. It's my energy when I work with clients. It's actually how I prefer to work with people. So anyone that knows me, whether it's personally or in a professional sense, the way that I like to work with people feels quite intimate because I like to bring my energy there. It's a safe space. People feel heard and seen. And whether it's a friendship or it's a client session, there's that energy of you're just sitting on the sofa with someone and people can feel quite relaxed as well as vulnerable all at the same time, knowing that they're in a safe space. So that's where sofa chats came from. And I specifically made this one the book edition because I wrote this book, which, as much as it's for me, it actually was really not for me. I wrote this book about me as a mirror, if you will, for other people, because in my life, so much has happened. And I used to joke for years and years and think to myself, I could write a trilogy, not just a book. And in all honesty, I do go into a good bit of depth with some of the stuff in here, but there's obviously a lot that's not on the page. And my goal for the sofa chats in this book edition series that I'm doing, I'm very open to answering any questions. If anyone wants to know anything in any further depth, I'm an open book, literally. I've got nothing to hide. And I'm very comfortable talking about even the difficult stuff because what I know to be true, and those that I've worked with me can vouch for this, I'm very comfortable sharing where I've screwed up, because if it helps you realise, one, whatever you're doing, you know what, it's other people have done crazy stuff too, and it's not just you. And also I think it keeps me real. I hate the idea of you at one side of the desk and me in the other. I like the feeling that we're sitting on the sofa together, and that's the whole purpose of this. So without further ado, yes, thanks very much. It really is the way that we learn. So a couple of things I wanted to just set out at the beginning, which is it's not therapy, it's not coaching. and it's not a workshop or anything like that. It's literally a sofa chat. So as you sit there on your sofa, probably listening to me as I'm on mine, then I hope it just feels quite intimate and it's just you and I that's speaking. So that's the aim. You can give me the lowdown afterwards if that's how it felt or what you want if you need something different. So uncertainty is your superpower. That name came to me very, very quickly. And I doubted it 1,000 times, 100,000 times, but I kept coming back to it because it's so true about the life that I've lived, and it's actually how I help other people. Because if you can learn to live with uncertainty and continue moving, you will have a much more fulfilling life, probably would be one of the words I would use. But equally, if you have a constant fear of the unknown, it will stop you doing things that I know you're capable of. And when I say I know, it's because I know so many of you that are on this live. And I have seen some of the incredible things that you lot have done when you've had a comfort with moving, even in uncertainty. So it was because of all the people like you all on here tonight and all the clients that I've ever had in the past and the people that I've met, that it was because of you that I came up with this title. So that's how it came about. Now, how I'm going to work with these sofa chats, the book edition. I'm going to read some passages or one passage, just depending on the conversation from the book. I have some prompts that I was going to ask you to have a think about as it relates to your life. But I also want you to know that I'm coming from a space of openness and vulnerability, and anything that you want to know in more depth that I read about, then you have my permission to ask the question. And if I'm comfortable with it, I will answer every time. Really not that much that I'm not open to talking about. So it is the way that we learn. Because Una, you're right. Because when we hear from other people that other things are possible, even when it seems scary, that's when we realise, well, if that person can do it, why can't I? And that's certainly the journey that I've been on over the last 10 years, probably nearly now, since I started my degree. So having the book is not necessary. If you've got it, brilliant. You know, there's parts of it maybe you're already curious about. You're welcome to ask. If you don't have it, then I'll just let me know and I'll send you a link. And if you're not needing to read it, but you just want to show up for the chat, then that actually works just as well too. So without further ado, unless anyone has got any burning imminent questions or there's any problems, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to get started and we're going to focus tonight purely on the introduction. So I'll just give it a pause just briefly for any lag in the commenting, just to make sure everyone is A-okay. Okay, I've never done this before, guys, reading from my own book. I mean, how amazing is that? Pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. So, this is the introduction. You are not broken. Psst, over here. I need to tell you something. You're not broken. You've just been carrying things that were never yours to take. Stories, beliefs, worries, grief, shame, fears. Some of it you inherited, some of it you absorbed, and some you created to survive. But none of it defines you. I promise you that. This book isn't just about my story. Of course, I'll share plenty of my story. It's about your story. And that is the most important story of all. That version of you that's perhaps quietly aching for something more. That version of you who's ready to loosen the grip and all the roles that you've had to play and embody your life fully. Or that version of you who believed deep down that life would look and feel different. I know that version of you because I was her too. For years, I wore masks to cope with life, I chased safety and stability in whatever form that they took, whether it was jobs, people, experiences. I felt safer knowing what was ahead at every turn. I strived, I achieved, but I also numbed and abandoned myself in many tiny, quiet little ways. The light inside of me was only ever half lit. But I also fought my way back, not all at once and not perfectly, and not without fear, but one step at a time, one decision at a time, one mistake at a time, one breath at a time. And through it all, the breakdowns, the breakthroughs, the rebuilding, the recalibrating, retreating and rising, I realised something really powerful. You don't need fixing. You need to come home to yourself. You owe it to yourself to find peace in your heart. It will lead you to know who you truly are and what you're capable of in this world. And there's a version of you that's been there all along, buried under layers of responsibility, pressure, pain, worry, and fear. And this book is about taking a pause and looking in the mirror. Feels scary sometimes to even think like that. It's about facing yourself, challenging your view of yourself and of the world. It's about understanding your past and how releasing it will bring you one step closer to remembering who you are at your core. It's about going inwards, finally rising to that version of you that you know you can be when you permit yourself to step forward into your destiny. It's part memoir, part mirror. And I truly hope you see yourself in new ways through my story. I'll be your lighthouse in the fog if you need it, a hand on your back, reminding you that you're not too late, you're just on time. Let me show you that the unknown isn't something to fear. It's where the magic lives. You don't need to follow my path. In fact, I beg you not to, because we're all different people on a unique journey. But one thing you must do is trust your own path. Trust yourself. So if you're reading this and something in you is ready, not to be fixed, but to be found by you. So let's begin together. I'm walking with you, shining my light, illuminating the way forward. And that concludes the introduction. So just to breathe for a moment, and if anyone would like to ask anything specific or share any insight into how they felt listening to that, because what I know to be true is, in fact, it was something someone said to me, and I thought it was really pertinent. It was a good friend who said when he was reading the book, he went, I'm reading things that we've spoke about many, many times. He says, but there's a different power behind them when it's written down. So I guess what I'm saying here is me reading it out, sometimes we interpret things slightly different. Sometimes we get a different energy from what we're listening to compared to when we just read it in our own quiet time. So if anyone has anything that they would like to share or any comment on it, then you are welcome. And if not, I'll be more than happy to explore a little more in some of the areas, particularly around holding a mirror. Oh, Claire, God, that's incredible to read that. It felt like I was talking about your story, although the events, and you're absolutely right. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. The whole point is that a lot of the times we've all got different stories, but a lot of what we're going through with the emotions and the change and the the awareness to pause is all the same. I look in here on this chat box and I see people I know in different walks of life, and I can resonate with all of the stories. And as I think about the book, even when I was reading it, I too, Claire, was thinking about different people and thinking how it reflected the journey that they've been on as well. So you're absolutely right. And I guess I hope that gives a bit of a feeling that you're on the sofa with me, Claire, because that's the energy I'm trying to get, where it just feels like I'm talking straight to you. And it's actually one of the reasons why, yes, the word shame. Right, okay, ladies, I am so here for this tonight. Okay, so Claire, there is no pressure, but if there was anything that you would like to add, you don't have to, but if there's anything there you were saying there really resonated deeply, you're welcome to share anything, and if not, then please let me know if you want me to elaborate more in that area, because my goodness, I've got it all day long in my back history, so I'm more than happy to share. And Jade, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the intro. And you're saying there it stirred up emotions. Any particular emotions or anything that came up that you think, gosh, that's something that maybe I'd like to explore in more depth. And obviously, we're not exploring them in here. This is not therapy and coaching. This is a group of people, listening to insight and shifting perspectives to help us all be able to move forward. So feel free if there's anything at all that you'd like to add. And if not, I will tap in to what you've both said and I will elaborate in my own way if that works best, because happy to do that. And for anyone else, if there's anything in particular that you would like to mention, ask, then I'm all ears. Otherwise, I will do a little bit of a deep dive, particularly around the word shame. I'm not sure how well versed people all are. Some people have worked with me, some people have worked with different people, and some people have just worked things out on their own. Or some people might still be living with a deep sense of shame. And for anyone that's read my book, Claire, I'm coming back to that. Great, 2 ticks. There's a wee lag with the chat box, but hey, not everything's going to be perfect. So if you said that it took you 50 plus years to realise your family telling you that they were ashamed of you was on them and not me. I mean, I don't know anyone in this group of fabulous women that wouldn't relate to that story, where it's an external force that's making you believe certain things about yourself. And actually it was about them rather than about you. And through that kind of inner work, it really does start to create, for me, it's the pocket of self-love. And I'm actually going to go into that tonight because I think it's a really relevant topic. It's like the antidote to shame. So I'm going to come back to that. I've got someone there. It takes courage to open up Pandora's box. You're building up to that, not for others, but yes. There is a lot in my first 10 years had happened, and shame is what, yeah. So first of all, I'm just going to say that amazing that you've actually shared that even tonight in this space, because it tells me that you are already 1 foot going in the direction that you want to go, which is to do that work on yourself, explore how you can become a version of yourself that allows you to become all that you can be. And Claire, it took you all those years, but look at how things progressed over time when, as you say, you were aware, you became into that awareness. Actually, this is not about me. This is about them, their behaviors, their communications, whatever it is. And actually, this is not something on me. And if I think about my own shame, um, which there was a lot of it over the years, um, when we feel shameful, and you can tell me if you relate to this or not, when we feel shameful, what my experience has been, and for many of my clients, is that when we stay in that place of shame, actually it can perpetuate it and make things worse. Because when we feel bad about ourselves and we continue berating ourselves and beating ourselves over the head and calling ourselves all the worst names under the sun, we actually end up staying in the same situation or going downward spiral. And the whole point of holding that mirror, whilst you're looking at you in the mirror, right? What you're looking at is your ability to assess your life and come to that self-awareness place that helps you unpack things like shame, guilt, fear, worry, anxiety, all the typical things that come up when we're dealing with, quite often, things from childhood, things from our family, things from our youth. Because for anyone that doesn't know, I'm sure you all know because most of you have been in my world for a while, but that 0 to 7 are your formative years. And then all the way through to early adulthood, we're very, very susceptible to what the world is telling us. And if you think about when you're young, who is that world? Well, that's your family, that's your parents, that's your siblings. Then it becomes maybe your grandparents or your extended family. Then it becomes your peers at school, your teachers, and so on and so on. And if we have these deep-seated beliefs about who we think we are, we will hold on to them, and they will then impact us in unhelpful ways in adulthood, because the coping mechanisms that we create, for example, let me take, just because Claire's brought one to our attention there. So all the years of your family telling you that they were ashamed of you, and then you having a core belief about who you are, your worth, your value, and what you were in that family unit. You had a narrative and a story that was built up about that. So unless someone came in to challenge that, then that's something that stays with us for a very long time. And as you said there, Claire, it was, up to 50. But the good news is, if you have that moment, if you connect with someone, if you read a book, if you have a conversation, if you watch a YouTube video, it could be anything, there'll be something that you do that has that moment where you go, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to take a look. And I'm not just saying look at you like you are responsible for everything, but at the end of the day, even if it's external factors, you are responsible on how you deal with that. And you can take that responsibility, you can take ownership, and you can start to make the changes that will then have an impact on your wider life experience. And those old coping mechanisms, which might be go inward, stop going out and enjoying yourself, or don't trust people, want to hide away, keeping certain types of people at arm's length, if we go through life where we're scared to connect, be vulnerable, trust, and all of those things, we're not fully living. We're living a half life because we're trying to protect ourselves. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there, especially in social media and all the platforms. And it's like, oh, I'm protecting my peace. Just so you know, I am a huge fan of the protecting the peace. But equally, there's protecting the peace and then there's hiding away because I don't want to deal with things. It's not the same thing. So if you want a full, abundant life where you get to choose what you want to do, you get to rise into whatever version of you that you can be, then sometimes we have to face into the things that are a little bit tricky. And in some cases, as you say, it's either Pandora's box, where you might need a safe container to explore it. And it might be, a period of time working on yourself and understanding yourself, and also about what you really want from life, and really unpacking that in ways that allows you to see what's truly possible for you. Um, the mirror analogy that comes up for me in this particular conversation tonight, if we take the shame, so if we were to take a mirror and I would say, right, take a look at yourself, you're seeing shame, you're withdrawn, you're embarrassed, you're inward, your value of yourself is low. That's what you're seeing. It doesn't make it true, but it's the opportunity to pause and decide if you want something to be different. That's really what holding a mirror up is. And for me in my life, I couldn't hold that mirror up because I was so scared, because I knew when the music stopped and I took a look, I didn't like what I saw. I was evolving into a person that I didn't respect, I didn't like. There was a lot of core parts of me that I just knew was who I always wanted to be, but I was trapped in a life, in a world. And for me, that ability to pause and face myself was painful, scary, exciting, fulfilling, challenging, all of the above. Yeah, because getting the life that you want and living it authentically, freely, with joy, sometimes means there's hard shifts to go through. So you were mentioning there, Jade, that it stirred up some emotions for you, working deeply on yourself, and have been for the last few months, diagnosed with ADHD a year. It's now a turning point. And that's, the pivot in there, just listening to what you're saying. So you've looked into ways that you want to understand yourself better, getting the diagnosis, maybe understanding how you operate in the world, what makes you different, and more importantly, what makes you unique and really special. And from there, deciding, what does the rest of my life look like? I don't need to know it all tomorrow. In fact, when we only focus on the big, big, big goal, sometimes it feels too big that we retreat and we don't do anything. I know, because when I was trying to get out my old life, it meant I had to change everything, not just myself, not just my boundaries, but my friends, my lifestyle, my social scene, my work environment, everything you could imagine, it needed changed. And that was so scary. But what I did was one step at a time. And I'm sharing that for you, Jade, because that's what I'm going to get you to think about is, I'm now at this turning point in life. What would I like even the next 6 to 12 months look like for me? And if you can sit down and reflect and think, well, if I was to hold a mirror up at myself now, what am I seeing about myself that I would like to shift and work on and heal and all these things? And if I do these things, what are my ultimate goals? What are the things that are going to make me feel content, peaceful, joyful, happy, excited, whatever it is? And you're right. I totally recognize that I couldn't keep going because I tried many, many times to pull out of my old world, more times than I would even like to think about now. But the point is, it's the never giving up. And I think I actually wrote that in there. I fought my way back, not all at once, not perfectly, not without fear. How do we get anywhere that we really want to be when it's challenging? Every time I do something new, every time I try something new, there's such an internal part of me that has that fear part, scared, it's a pivot, it's a change. And yet at the same time, if we stay the same, that it is, how satisfying is that going to be? And I just want to be clear, being stationary for a period of time is great. Being in a place where we're not striving all the time and healing and growing, thank God there are moments where we're just at peace. We've done a lot of work and we're actually in the receiving experience. We're out living, we're feeling, we're vibing, and we're not necessarily having to do that deep work. But the deep work is a season. it'll be more than one. We're all in it all the time. But there are periods where you get through that next part and you come out the other side and you realise, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I tell you, every few months for me, I think I could feel an internal vibrational shift. You had a moment a few months back, you realised no one was coming to save you, only I can. Oh God, yeah, do you know, actually nearly made me fill up there just reading that. Because that exact phrase is used a heck of a lot now on social media. You know, some of the big gurus will use phrases like that, and I can relate to it because it's right. But I remember knowing that deeply a way back 10 plus years ago, and knowing inside of me that no matter what, no one was coming to fix what I was in. Not meeting a guy, maybe try to get married, you know, have a baby, do this, do that, get another corporate job, climb the ladder. My life that I'd created, which was full of chaos and discontent and unhealthy behaviours and habits, that was only me that could resolve that. And one thing I can say, Jade, is when you go deeply and you reflect and you start to move through that, whether it's yourself, whether you're working with someone, whether you're being guided in some kind of your own healing way, definitely self-love and compassion is an absolute must. And looking at yourself in that mirror and adjusting as you go without being too hard on yourself. And I can tell you with absolute confidence here that you're not the same person. And this is another reason why a lot of people don't want to start the work, because when you pull that thread, there's no stopping it after that. And it can mean a domino effect in other areas of your life. And not everybody's ready for that. So when it's the right time, when it's that right moment for you and you're ready to face it, you'll know. And Jade, it sounds like you're right there. And you know, it would be good to know what kind of tools you're using. Maybe there's something I can suggest for you, something that might be helpful. Maybe there's other different sort of journaling prompts and things and reflection that might be helpful that I can share with you as well. Although there are tons in the book, which is pretty good for that. And I'm going to actually say again, just before I move on and start to wrap up for tonight, and this is for you especially, Jade, since you've been chatting in here. So if you're reading this, then there's something in you is ready, not to be fixed, but to be found by you. And I want to close it on that tonight with that statement, because we can go through life, I did, and that feeling of I am broken and there's something wrong with me was actually what drove me into a lot of behaviours that weren't right. It got me seeking paths that weren't the right direction for me. And it was when I realised there was nothing wrong with me. I just had unhealthy habits, unhealthy circles, unhealthy environments, jobs that really weren't aligned. I mean, I always dreamed I remember leaving school at 17 and thinking, I want to be a social worker or a counsellor. And it just wasn't available to me. We know truly who we are and what we want. And then life has this way of coming at us at a rate of knots, sometimes not even something we can control. And, you know, for that reason, this is why I'm sharing that, because the seeking like something's broken isn't necessarily the right answer. It's about knowing yourself, coming home to yourself, accepting and loving yourself, and then betting on yourself that you can go after more from your life. And it's not about more money, unless that's what you want, or a better career. Sometimes it's just more peace in your heart. Sometimes it's to wake up each day and think, God, I love this life I've created. Sure, it's full of challenges, but my God, I love this life that I've created. And I'm sure there's plenty of you in this group chat, because I know you, that wake up on days, even when it's hard, and still are able to realise, look what I've created for myself. In fact, I actually sent a few pictures out to some people about my last few days here in Portugal. And I said, 1,000 problems, but in this moment, the golden moment, I have none. And I was at a Brazilian place dancing and enjoying food, and then at live music and dancing. And that's all we can do. We can do the work, we can face ourselves, we can challenge ourselves, and then we can love ourselves. And by doing that, we will create more of what we want in our life. So I'm going to wrap it up here for tonight. And I really didn't think it would go on as long. And that's the God's honest truth. I'm actually very grateful to every single one of you that come on tonight. I hope each of you found some form of insight. I will be very happy to hear feedback, even constructive, criticisms or things that you'd like to see differently. Let me know, because I want this to become something that's really meaningful and powerful. And I just want to help more people in a best way that I can. And how else do you do that unless it's through your own life story, your journey, and all these things? So, yes, thanks very much for joining. And this will be available to watch again if you've got the link. And it's same time, same place. You're welcome, Victoria. I'll be seeing you next week, and I really can't wait. I mean, how coincidental is this? Victoria happens to be coming to Portugal. I know her from LinkedIn, and we're going to meet next week. I mean, come on. I mean, that's synchronicities for you right there. That's trusting the universe, trusting yourself to act in ways that feel good. So, yep. I hope you're all great. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I would love to see you back on here if you would like to join me next Tuesday, same time. I will put out in advance what the topic will be, and if it floats your boat and you're ready for more stuff from the book, probably some of the deep and dirty stuff like the childhood stuff, eek at the thought of it, but yeah, it's got to be done. So I'll see you then if you want to join me. Good night, everyone, and yeah, have a wonderful evening. Thank you, it's been brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Good night from Portugal.